And this time we have a very special guest with us. He flew in all the way from Denver today to be here for Free Comic Book Day. We have artist Zach Howard.
Hello.
Zach, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Zach's well known for really just a huge body of work throughout all the companies: IDW, DC, Marvel, The Cape, Blue Beetle, Spider-Man. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff.
Yep.
That, you know, in fact, I was at the website last night and I was like, I can't print all this off.
It's been a while.
Yeah, he's got his artwork available for sale also at DeviantArt, correct?
Yeah, if people can just write me. I left my dealer, so I just have people write me, and I sell, or at a show or whatever, and I sell it. But
we're always about the pitch here. Anytime you want to pitch something, we're here for you.
No, that works.
So tell me, what really got you into doing work as a comic book artist to start with?
Well, I loved it as a kid. Growing up military, we moved all the time, didn't have a ton of friends, so I drew a lot. Loved comic books. Got out of them in my later teens. Went to the Marines, and I went to college, and actually became a professional potter for 5 years. And I was getting a thesis in ceramic sculpture, and I had to take an illustration class to graduate, and took it. The professor had worked in the industry here and there, and liked my stuff, dragged me to a con with them, and I got a good response. And so talked to my wife and said if she would, put up with me for a few years while I tried to get in, and that's what I did. I just worked for about 2.5 years, really trying to get better, and eventually I got Hellboy, and then
you guys know what 12 for $1 today?
Kind of made. I got jobs just from basically doing previous jobs. So.
Okay, and I'll tell you, your jobs are awesome. I love your aliens work that I saw on your website. I have a huge friend of mine who's an aliens fan. He's actually pointed it out to me in the past. He goes, "Oh yeah, I've got that issue." So, and of course the Cape. I was listening to you talk outside to a couple of your friends, and it seems like the Cape really was one of your labors of love.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of a defining moment. Do I stay in superhero stuff, where the money's at, or do I've always wanted to do, and I have done creator-owned stuff in the past, but I want to concentrate on it and make that final leap where I'm a creator rather than kind of a cog in the wheel. But so that was it. I just finally decided if I do the Cape with Joe, I'm the only person that's ever done the Cape. If I do Superman, I'm one of 900 guys that have done Superman. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm trying to build a legacy, and I think the way I want to go, I want to be known for my own stories.
And really, I mean, the Cape, it was a short-lived show on NBC.
It had nothing to do with the show.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the show. A lot of people, did it seem like a lot of people were turning to the comic thinking it was part of the show?
Yeah, at first, that was just an unfortunate coincidence.
And the thing is, though, from what I've read, through the message boards and on the internet, it seems like some of those people that were drawn to the comic because of the show didn't realize, it has nothing to do with the show. They really kind of stayed because they enjoyed the story and especially the art.
Yeah, I think a lot of people it took them, off guard, just because of the ending in the first one, and that's the one we got the Eisner nod for, and Joe and Jason really know what they're doing. So if you give us a chance, I guarantee we'll blow you away. So.
And like I say, I've been blown away just by looking at some of the stuff you've got out there. You've had an impressive body of work. You're working right now with Mike.
Yeah, Mike Raich. Yeah. Yep.
Mike, you and he are working on a book that's due out next year or later this year?
It's going to be May of next year, so it can be monthly.
Okay.
So we don't run into the problems with the Cape.
And in fact, we actually showed this on the video already, but we'll show it again. It's called Wild Blue Yonder. Why don't you give us a rough idea of what's going to happen?
It's basically it's Mad Max, but with planes. Is the short description of it. And future dystopian world will be 5 issues. We got a strong female lead and her dog, and they're retrofitting World War II aircraft and flying around and trying to survive.
Now, who is this going to be for?
IDW.
IDW.
And but we did a creator-owned contract with them, so Mike and I still own it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like as if you go through like Vertigo or something like that. So we'll still have to generate some money for it. IDW is paying for the colorist, who's my colorist on the Cape, which I wanted to keep, and that's why I basically stayed with IDWs, because they would pay for him, and, you know.
They really seem to be making a lot of strides in terms of really building themselves as that third company. I mean, during the 80s and 90s, it was always DC Marvel, and then everybody else was just kind of independent.
It's, things are changing, internet changes things, and however, I can say with no hyperbole that IDW is the best company I've ever worked for, and I would spend the rest of my career with them if they let me.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm good friends with Matthew Dow Smith from IDW.
Yeah, Matt Smith.
Matt's he's
took
been on the
over
show.
him on my first image book.
Oh, okay.
So, Clockmaker.
Yep.
So.
And he's a good friend of ours. We see him. In fact, we're going to see him next month and interview him again.
Okay. Well, tell him I say hi.
I will. And he's just raves about working for IDW.
It's the best company. It's honestly, my paycheck's half as much as like when I do DC, but I basically get to be art director on my books. The Cape, I got to bring in my own colorist. I got, it's awesome. You basically get to be the art director, which isn't a freedom you get at the big companies.
Which is pretty much what he's said to us before as well.
Yeah.
He enjoys that level of freedom and control versus, I've got to do everything by the book just to get the bigger paycheck.
Yeah, you're not a cog in the wheel, and DC, treats you well. So does Marvel, very well. But you're just so appreciated at IDW, and they make you feel so at home, and they let you do what you want. They trust you to produce a beautiful book for them, and
like I say, that's
awesome.
It kind of seems like I say, you enjoy working for them basically because you've got that labor of love going for you.
It's worth more than pretty much any amount of money, at a certain point.
Yeah. And what's one of your, most favorite works that you've done in your past?
Oh, the Cape. My own book I did with Sean Murphy called Outer Orbit. It's a space comedy that we did a few years back. Shaun of the Dead kind of put me on the map on the indie world.
I did see Shaun of the Dead on your list of works, and I'm a huge Shaun of the Dead fan as far as the movie, but to be honest, I never actually picked up your work. I've been on it. eBay's coming.
I'm an indie guy, it's okay. That's how I became an IDW guy. I was very unhappy doing the books I was doing at DC, and Chris Ryle came up to me and said, "Hey, you want to do a book for us?" And I said, "Sure, just anything." And I got lucky that it was Shaun of the Dead, before the movie was released here in America and everything. So we got kind of a neat jump on that. And I just won the lottery that it was a good story.
It sounds like it was a great story for you. As far as it working out perfectly.
Yep.
What's been one of your most challenging or difficult, sketches that you've had to do in terms of detail?
Spider-Man at first was a little difficult. You got to really kind of figure out how you're going to draw them, but that goes very quickly. Pound for pound, the toughest book I've done was Aliens. I had to design an alien city. I had to, spaceships, clothing, guns, and then the aliens themselves. They had me design a different alien. For the most part, it's the same, with just a couple little tweaks. And you got to kind of figure out the anatomy so you can draw it again and again and again and again.
It's the Chihuahua alien, versus the regular one. Then all the other ones. Alien 3 had the daughters and everything.
Yeah, we were. They wanted to look like a war ant or something. I forget what the editor wanted, but it had like little tinctures and stuff. And honestly, I wanted to just draw the aliens. I love them. It's like a race car, like a Lotus or something. You don't put a spoiler on it or something like that. You keep it. It's a beautiful race car,
Exactly.
But I found ways to make it fun. I didn't change them that much. Just added a couple spikes, so it's basically drawing the same alien.
Now, besides Wild Blue Yonder, what else you got coming up in the future? Any major stuff?
Another creator-owned book called The Dread of Bête Noire. That'll be immediately after it.
Is that something you can also talk about today? Or
Yeah, a little. It's a Victorian horror story. Been working on it literally for 8 years. Already got a producer involved with it, which now we got with Wild Blue Yonder too. So there'll be a Hollywood end of it too. So it's that one of the great things about being creator-owned is once you make that Hollywood leap, they keep coming back to you, which you don't get, again at like Marvel or DC. So it's just hard getting over that hump.
Yeah, well, you've got so much issues with the copyrights and the licensing. It's just easier to
just getting people to take it seriously because the Batman's not in it or Deadpool's not in it. Just getting people to pick it up. I'm like, I promise you, I'm not going to let you down. Pick it up, And but you know, it's like starting a train, really slow at first, but once you get going, you know, its own inertia is carrying it places. So.
Now, any websites or anything else you want to promote while you're here on the
show?
We love
just
the pitch.
ZachHoward.com, and you can link. From there, you can see a lot of my crap, but there's a link to it to my DeviantArt site, which I update constantly. So it seems to be the way to go. I wish they had that when I was younger.
The internet.
We
had it back then. It was called CB radio. Yeah.
Well, even like when I started, they had the internet. They just all I was getting was addresses to companies, and I made like 15 packets of photocopies, and I mailed them all off. And it's in the neither void then, and you have no clue if they ever see it or not. Or nowadays, it's
usually
awesome.
some guy in the mail room that's hiding it, so that when you do become famous, he's
look
at this early stuff I got from him.
That's embarrassing when people come up and like buy my gaming art from like 2000.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
What company were you working for then?
Steve Jackson Games was the first company that would hire me, and that led to Hellboy, and then comic books took off. But
you're doing like the fillers for like the GURPS and stuff like that.
GURPS is exactly what I did. What the great thing, they're very patient with me. They kind of taught me how to be a professional because I had no clue. I didn't know what tools to use, what to do, or anything. Because I didn't really come from a comic book background, and I didn't know anybody that has ever done a comic book really outside of my professor. And he only knew a little, and so yeah, GURPS helped me out a lot. It wasn't anything I was into, but they're very nice to me. And, I learned how to draw what the editor needed. I need a pirate with a knife. You draw a pirate with a knife. And then he comes back, no, I needed a space pirate. So you draw it again, as a space pirate. And so I learned how to be a pro.
Exactly how is a space pirate using a knife in space?
Well, do guns even work in space? You need oxygen, right?
You need some kind of combustion,
So if you got a knife and they have a revolver, I think you win. And knife fight's superior, I think. Don't bring a gun to a knife fight in space.
That's right. Sean Connery is the astronaut. What kind of person are you bringing a gun to a knife fight?
Yeah, so just the opposite of that.
Exactly.
Space Sean Connery would say, bring a knife.
Exactly.
So.
Well, Zach, thank you very much for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem.
We're glad to have you here in town. We hope to see you again soon.
Oh, absolutely. I'll once Wild Blue starts getting close, I'll be out here hitting the cons.
We'll be here looking for you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.